Welcome everyone. This is Stitching Under the Oaks. I'm Lalena.
And I'm Ray.
Welcome to our second floss tube. For those of you who watched our first floss tube, welcome back. We're glad that you enjoyed it and we're happy to have you back. For those of you who are new, welcome to our channel. We hope that you will go back and look at our first video, and we hope you enjoy this video and will like, comment, and subscribe. Today, we are going to be shooting our WIP Parade. We did our finishes in our first video, and today we are going to show you all of the projects that we are bringing with us into 2025. Like you, I'm sure, we have been watching a large number of WIP parades, and I wanted to share with you some of the WIP parades that we particularly enjoyed. The first one is the Museum Stitcher. Cam the Stitcher also had an excellent WIP parade. The Tattooed Stitcher. Sarah's Stitchery. Contented Needleworker Kim. Marjorie Maid, and the Seattle Stitcher. I got a lot of new projects added to my wish list while watching these WIPs. I think that you'll really enjoy them. We will have them linked below so that you can check them out as well. Before we go any further, I did want to take a quick moment to thank the Sable Stitchers for their mention of our channel in their last floss tube. We are very honored to have you ladies as our subscribers. We also wanted to mention some other new floss tubers out there that we have been enjoying.
The first one we'd like to mention is the Folk Stitcher. She really enjoys modern folk embroidery designs, which we have a couple to show today. Next is Becca Benensky. She's really fun. She's stitching Hera as her next Mirabilia. Mama's stitched that one, so I'm really excited and interesting to see her progress with that. Next is the Happiest Stitchers on Earth. They're also really fun, and they just released a video of their 12 by 12. Next is Oh For Pete's Sake Stitch. His stitching is really amazing. He showed off his sampler wall in his latest video.
So we do hope that you will check out those new floss tubers as well. And again, we will link their details below so that you can check them out. So we're going to go ahead and get started on our WIP parade. Out of all of the WIP parades that I watched, I'm afraid that I seem to hold the dubious honor of having the oldest WIPs. So I do want to explain before I get started that I do stitch on stretcher bars. So my projects are still on the bars. Most of my bars are pretty old, so these are the kind that are sewn on, so I cannot take them off the bars to show them to you more easily. If they're not visible on screen, I will pop in a picture above so that you can see them more clearly. My first and oldest WIP is And a Forest Grew by Rosewood Manor. I started this in 2007. To put that in perspective, Ray here was 1 to 2 years old, depending on when I started it. I am not exactly sure when I started it in 2007 because I did not record the exact date, but I know I started it shortly after the pattern came out. I have seen a number of people stitching it recently. Here is a picture of what it would look like finished. I am stitching this on an unknown 28 count fabric. I'm making kind of a face because if I was stitching this now, I would probably stitch it on at least a 36 count, probably a 40 count, because she's a big one. I used the called for DMC. And you will see as I move my stretcher bars across the screen what I'm talking about. But this is the part that I have started so far. And I'm going to bring my bars across so you can see just how big she's going to be. When I first started stitching this one, my thought was that I would put it up over my fireplace, so I didn't really mind that it was so big. I was a much less experienced stitcher back then and really only had ever used 28 and 32 count fabrics. I stitched mostly lavender and lace and myriabelia patterns at that time. So this was really my first jump into more of a sampler type design with lots of different motifs. I love this design and I very much want to finish it. There are now other projects over my fireplace. Possibly arrange them and still put them up there. I am debating restarting this on a higher count fabric so that it's a little bit smaller, just because I have so many other things to finish and put on my walls that I have not made a final decision. It looks great, and I think it will be beautiful and a real statement piece at large, but she's pretty big. So let me know what you think, if I should start over on a higher count or if I should just keep going and have a big, beautiful statement piece. So send us a comment below on that one. My next oldest WIP. This one was summer of 2014. So I had a lot of finishes between 2007 and 2014. No WIPs during that period of time. This is called Spring Has Come. It is also a Rosewood Manor project. It was a 3-part mystery sampler. This was part 1. Part 2 and part 3. This was a summer stitch for me. I am not in school during the summer, so I have more time to stitch. And I stitched a lot of this, and then I ran out of summer. And I ended up putting it down when I ran out of summer, but I have all of part 1 complete. I have the majority of part 2 complete. I need to finish that last line of the verse. And then I need to add part 3 down below. This one, I'm not really sure why I set it aside. I really enjoyed stitching this one. It is stitched on the called for fabric, which is Yorkshire flowers. I think that it shows up okay on the camera, but it's a white with pretty gold flowers. And that is from Fabric Flair. It's a 32 count. I was stitching 2/2 using the called for weeks dye work threads. This one I am going to try to get back to and finish possibly this summer. This seems to be a summer project for me. So I will probably, even though it says spring has come, it's a summer project for me. It's very summery. So I am going to try to finish that one this summer. There are also, because it's Rosewood Manor, and they are wonderful, there are a lot of extras included in these patterns. I really also would like to stitch this smaller sampler that you see down here. So I may try to get that done this summer as well. I still have plenty of the fabric left, so I would be able to go ahead and do that on the same fabric. My next WIP, this one I am really excited about and really excited to get back to. This is And They Sinned by Exemplar Dames Design Co. Let me show you a picture of the finished project. This one is also a huge design. Oops, there we go. This one is also a huge design. It's going to be hard to see the finished project on screen because it's so big. When it's finished, this this project will be almost as tall as I am. I love it. I love stitching on it, and I actually have gotten quite a bit done and hope to get some more done this year. So this is what I have finished so far. This is the top panel. And I just kind of roll it up gradually so you can see more. And that is where I stopped, although I did work the border quite a bit beyond that. So I have a lot of the border done. The next section of the pattern is a lot of text, so it should go pretty quick. This is one that I would like to actually get back into the rotation and get some solid work done on this year. I do not hold any hope of getting it finished this year. When you look up the design and look at it more closely, you'll see that that bottom portion of the design is largely full coverage. So I don't know if I can blow this up enough that you can see it. So this is about where I've worked to, right about here on the design. So I have all of this. And then when you get down to the very bottom, this part here is all full coverage. So that's going to take quite a while to stitch, but I would like to get at least that next big section done this year if possible. Our next WIP is Tinctorium by Chatelaine Designs. While I was going through my WIPs to prepare for the WIP Parade, I did add several projects to my UFO list. For those of you who are new to Flosstube or new to cross stitch, UFO is unfinished objects. So there were several designs I decided not to continue. Some of them I just didn't enjoy. Some were no longer my style or my taste. This one, I seriously am considering adding to the unfinished object pile. I love this design. It is absolutely amazing. I loved stitching this whole center block. I did the whole thing, the specialty stitches, the back stitching, the beading, all of it. And I enjoyed every minute of it until I got to this border up here at the top. In this border, there is a lot of 1/1 stitching. I do not particularly enjoy 1/1 stitching. I could not make my stitches lay right. And I have pulled out that section probably 20 times. So I'm trying to decide whether to keep trying, keep practicing that 1/1, try to rechart it a little bit and change the border up so that there's not as much 1/1, or whether to just rip it out and keep that center block and either frame the center block as it is, turn it into a cushion cover. I don't know what to do with it. Part of my hesitation is this. This is the packet from European Cross Stitch Company with all of the specialty threads, beads, everything. As you can imagine, a packet this big cost a lot. So that is my hesitation. I really invested in this piece. I know it will be gorgeous, finished.
It is one of my favorite of the unfinished works. I really love the final version of this design.
So, and I do as well. I love it. I know it would be gorgeous as a finished design. I just don't know if I have it in me to actually finish her. So let me know your thoughts about that one below. I will be making some decisions on her soon as to what to do. My next WIP is a much more recent WIP. This one I started in June of 2022. I've seen a number of other people stitching on this one. This is Supernatural by the Witchy Stitcher. It was a mystery stitch along. Each new piece was released each month. I'm using the called for DMC, and I kept up with it at first. I did the whole border. So I've done the border all the way down to the bottom. So that part is out of the way. But I only have done 3 of the supernatural creatures so far. I love this. It is so fun. This was actually my supernatural stitch. I know this isn't related to the TV show Supernatural, but I was watching the show while I was stitching this. Um, I haven't finished. I still have a lot of seasons left to go. So I am going to try to finish Supernatural this year while I'm finishing up Supernatural, the show. My husband actually tells me that they are coming out with a new Supernatural in May. So I really do need to watch the rest of the series so that I'm ready for that one. So it's a great time to finish up this project, but I really enjoy this one. I actually have the companion piece, which is cryptids, which I also would like to stitch. So have not started that one yet.
This is also another one of my favorites of the WIPs for this WIP parade.
This is another one maybe you want in your bedroom when I finish it up.
Hmm.
My last WIP is a very recent WIP. This is actually from the Jingle Ball. This is Countdown to Christmas by Hands On Design. I've started this one right here. I took the class. I got the full kit from her. This is actually not cross stitch. It is counted canvas, which is new to me. I have a very, very modest start. So not a lot done. This, as I said, is new to me. The stitches are new to me. The materials are new to me. So it does take me some concentration to be able to stitch this one, but I am enjoying it very much and will be working to get it done by next Christmas so that I can have this and the other ornament on my tree. And I did get this as the kit, so I am using all of the called for fabrics. This one has not been released. It was an exclusive to the Jingle Ball, but I am sure that it will be released down the road. She also at the Jingle Ball had 2 other kits in different colorways, and I got those as well. So I hope to have a whole series of these on my tree next year, but it is a lot of fun to do. Just requires more concentration while I'm learning the stitches. I'm sure it will go faster once I've had a little bit more practice. That's all of my old WIPs. Next, we're actually going to move into my current WIPs, those things that are right now in my active rotation that I am working on and have started more recently. So the first up is I am working on the Hometown Stitch Along by Teresa Kogut. I am on her Patreon, and this is a Patreon stitch along. I've only stitched the first piece of it so far. It is a 24-month stitch along, and I'm joining it a year late. So I'm going to try to stitch 2 or 3 parts each month to get myself caught up so that I can finish on time. It is a fairly quick stitch. Um, it's pretty dense stitching, but it's fun, and there's a lot of solid blocks of stitching, a lot of fill-in, so it goes pretty quickly. It only took me about 2 days to do this first part. So I do hope to finish another part by the end of the month. And then depending on what I have going on in the month, as I said, I'm going to try to stitch 2 to 3 of the released pieces per month. I am stitching this on 40 Count Up in the Attic by Fox and Rabbit. It's a beautiful fabric. I really love the color, and it's very easy to stitch on. I am using the called for DMC, although as I go forward, I may swap out, especially for some of the barns and houses, I may swap out for some overdyes just to give it a little bit more definition. My next project is my New Year, New Start. This one is Baldoquin Birdies. This is the Modern Folk Embroidery 2005 stitch along. Jacob has divided this up into 10 parts going across. So part 1, part 2, and then there's 10 parts. It's divided into 10 segments. The whole pattern is in the booklet, but there is a recommended division in the margins. I am not following his recommended pieces just because I don't like the idea of going all the way straight across. I tend to stitch by motif. So I'm stitching by page instead. There are 9 pages in the booklet. So my goal is 1 page a month, which would allow me to finish 1 month ahead of time. And then my plan is to stitch the extra pattern that's included on the last month so that I have both pieces complete at the end of the stitch along. That's my plan anyway. This is what I've done so far. I am almost done with page 1. I will be finished with it today. This is what I'm currently stitching on, as you can see by my hanging threads. But I just have to finish the bottom of this bird down to here, and I've completed page 1. I am stitching this on 40 Count Porcelain by Roxy Floss Co. And I'm using Follow Red, also by Roxy Floss Co. So I love this one. I'm really enjoying stitching on it and really can't wait to have the finished piece on my wall. You will see a theme with some of my projects and some of my upcoming plans for projects. A lot of them have birds in them. I have decided I want a bird wall. So a lot of my current projects and projects on my wish list have birds in them.
I really love bird designs too, so I'm excited to see all these new bird designs this year.
Where I'm going to put a bird ball, I don't know. I don't actually have an empty ball that I can put it on, but we'll have to do some rearranging, right?
Mm.
Okay. Next up, I have a finish. I have my first finish in 2025, and it is on Emmeline Purnell. This is by Hands Across the Sea Samplers. She was a lot of fun to stitch. I really pushed hard to get the finish before this video, and because I have other things to start and move on to. I did stitch this one on 46 count fabric. This is the first time I have stitched on 46 count. She's on 46 count, just the ticket by Tabby Cat. I was a little slower stitching on 46 count, but still enjoyed it. It's still very doable, just a little bit slower for me than 40 count. What I did not want to attempt was 1/1. And the verse that was originally charted up here was the 1/1. And I knew I did not even want to try that. I do stitch usually 1/1 on 40 count or 36 count when it's a verse or something like that, but I didn't want to try it on 46 count. There were a total of 13,646 stitches in this project. I stitched it using the called for 100.3 silks, 1/2. I did, since I changed the verse up here to my initials and the year, down here I also replaced what was stitched there, which was Emmeline Purnell and the year. And I included a verse by one of my favorite authors and poets, Marge Piercy. She's a feminist, progressive writer, activist, award-winning poet, environmentalist. And this is a line from her poem, Right to Life. And it says, "My life is a non-negotiable demand." So I can't wait to get this framed and put up on my wall. It does fit just barely in an 8x10 frame. So I'm going to try it in an 8x10 and see if I like it. If it's too crowded, then I'll go ahead and order a custom frame for it. Next, a few plans before we end our video today. So to start off, my plans tend to be very loose. I am a primarily monogamous stitcher, so I usually have one main focus piece going at a time, as well as any stitch alongs that I have working on. So I keep my plans pretty loose, and when I finish up that focus piece, I will move on to whatever else is catching my eye at that moment. I have a very extensive stash of completely kitted projects, so I never have any shortage of what to choose from, although that does not keep me from buying more. But this year, I did set some loose plans into place. I have become a member of the Tudor Rose Sampler Guild. This year, I saw the recommendation for the guild on, again, the Sable Stitchers page. Roberta is one of the officers in the Tudor Rose Sampler Guild. So I have joined that, and they do something each year called the Magic List. Magic refers to my annual good intentions contract. And what you do is you pick 5 different projects that you want to finish in that year. You make the list, you submit it. They have several different checkpoints during the year where you can submit pictures and updates of your progress. And then at the end of the year, they go through and they share all of the finished projects, and also mention those who managed to finish all of the projects on their magic list. So my first project on my list was Emmeline Purnell. So that was the first on my magic list. The second one was Baldoquin Birdies that I had already started. My third one is going to be another modern folk embroidery piece, and this is the Put a Bird on It stitch along. The stitch along already started, I believe, back in December. So as usual, I'm behind. So I'm 2 months behind. I'm not sure I'm actually going to stitch this one as a stitch along. I think it's just going to be my next focus piece, and I'm going to stitch on it till I'm finished. This one is going to be stitched on Roxy Floss Co. porcelain, and this is a 36 count fabric. And then I am stitching it with the Roxy Floss Co. colorful conversion pack. So I am going to stitch it just like it appears on the model in the picture. I've seen a lot of people stitching this monochromatically, and that's originally what it was designed for, was to be stitched all in one color. But I love the different colors. I also really, really love Quaker samplers, so I am quite looking forward to this one.
I also love it with all the different colors. I think even though it was originally designed to be monochromatic, I just feel like it wouldn't be the same without all the colors.
And as I mentioned in my first video, Roxy Floss is my very favorite floss right at the moment anyway. So I am excited to have their floss pack for that design. The next item on my magic list is Cherry Hollow Farm. This is by Stacy Nash. This is a kit I have had in stash for ages. I got it once upon a time from Nordic Needle, which no longer is a thing, I don't think. But I love this design and can't wait to stitch it. I do have the whole kit, so I'm stitching it with the called for fabric and threads. And I can't wait to get that one on the frame as well. And then my final project for my magic list is Every Opening Flower by With Thy Needle and Thread, Brenda Gervais. This is what that one is going to look like. And I purchased this one as a kit as well. So I do have the called for fabric and threads for that piece as well. So that is my magic list. If I get all 5 of those done this year, I will be a very happy person and excited to get going on all of those designs. The next thing that is definitely in our plans is we are doing the Stitch for Pride 2025 by Dee's 20 Stitches. We had hoped to get a start on this one already, but because of the Canadian mail strike and all of that, the fabric was delayed in coming to us. We actually picked out an alternative fabric and had everything all ready to go. And then I got the shipping notification that from Mislaid Pages that the fabric that they had actually dyed and designed to go with this project was on the way. So we decided to wait, and we're going to take a look at that fabric and at the one that we had picked out and pick the one we like better once that arrives. So I'm hoping that will be here this week. We also decided that we are going to pick our flosses as the pieces come out. I would really like to do this one with Belsois floss. We had picked out for the first piece indigo, which is showing up a little bit brighter and bluer on the camera than it actually is. It's a little bit more purpley and dusty in person. This is what originally we were going to do. We will wait and see how this looks on the new fabric. It looks great on the fabric that we had picked from Stash, but we'll see how it looks on the new fabric before we make a decision whether this for sure is going to be for our first piece. I had picked this tentatively for the second piece just based on the color recommendations, and this is Turquoise by Belsois. And again, we're going to reassess once we see the fabrics, whether those are still going to be our first couple of floss choices or not. Stitch for Pride, the theme this year is trans and non-gender conforming people in history. And each month's release does come with a page of learning about the individual that's featured in the design that month. So we've been going through that together. We're really enjoying learning more. and are really excited to get this project started. The pieces are fairly small. They'll be really easy to stitch up quickly in a day or two to keep up with the design. So I do hope that we'll have made all of our decisions, that we'll have the right floss in stock, and that I will be able to get part 1 done before the second part releases on February 1st. We are really excited about that one. I don't believe that one is available anymore. He did close out subscriptions at the end of December. I don't know if he ever opens them up again, but I would recommend, even if you don't have it, to follow along and see everyone's finishes. And I will post Dee's information below as well. That's Dee's 20 Stitches. I would also like to stitch an ornament every month or every couple of months. We have our own little Christmas tree that we put out at Christmas time that has my finished stitched ornaments, but I don't have that many that I have stitched and finished. So I am hoping to get some more ornaments for our tree next year. One thing I want to mention before I go on to the last section of our video today, when I got the kit for Emmeline Purnell, it also included this wonderful fabric panel that includes the design. I really would like to have this made into a fabric bag. I don't have, well, any of the pretty fabric bags that I see a lot of the Flosstubers with. I use these cheaper alternatives from Amazon. They work wonderfully. I definitely don't plan on replacing them all with fancy project bags, but I would like one really pretty project bag. So if anyone knows anyone who does custom project bags, because that's definitely going to be beyond my sewing abilities, post that in the comments below so I can reach out. I really would like to find someone to make me a custom bag. Do you want to do acquisitions next, or do you want to show the design you pulled?
I think I want to show the design I pulled.
Okay. Ray, one of the things that we want to do in our videos is share some of my previous finishes. I have been stitching for 30 years. I have a lot of finishes, some of them complete, a lot of them not fully finished yet, which I'm going to work on this year. But Ray would like to share one of his favorites.
This is Cassiopeia by Mirabilia Designs. I just absolutely love this piece. I think that the dress is really pretty. I love all the colors. I love the background. I love all of the beading. I just really love this piece. It is my absolute favorite out of everything. And it's, I think it's really beautiful.
This one I stitched using all of the called for threads and beads, except I did replace some, and it's going to be impossible to see on camera, but I did replace some of the threads, and it was charted to do that if you wanted to, with glow in the dark thread. So at least when I first stitched this, when you turned off the lights, you could see the constellation Cassiopeia um, with the glow in the dark thread. It did not last forever, and you really can't anymore. Maybe if it didn't have the glass, you'd be able to, but the glow in the dark part doesn't really show up anymore. But that was the only change I made. I do not remember what this fabric was. Again, I'm sorry. A lot of my old projects, I won't be able to tell you what they were stitched on because I did not keep good track of that. I do keep track of all of that now, so I'll be able to share those details on projects moving forward, but I did not keep track of that before. Let's show our thrift acquisition. So I said in the last video that I wasn't going to be making as many purchases this year, and I am trying to stick to that. but a lot of these things were ordered, actually almost all of these things were ordered prior to the new year. And I do actually have quite a few other things on pre-order or back order that will be arriving too. But yeah, so I really didn't go on a big shopping spree, I promise. Let's start with that. So we've been doing a big clean out. I'm actually getting ready for a big destash to make sure that my materials are more organized. And we were actually taking several bags full of not cross stitch stuff, but clothes and stuff from the closet that aren't being worn anymore. And we took those to our local thrift shop. Being me, we did run in and take a look while we were there as well, and we scored. There was a whole big bag of cross stitch fabric. There is a wide variety of fabric types and sizes here. We have everything from like very big count, like 10 count. The majority were 28 count linens. There were also some 32 counts and a 36 count. There are some that are full yards, some half yards, some quarter yards. There was a little bit of Ada cloth, which will be great for ornaments. And yeah, we got all of this plus a sweatshirt for Ray for $2.50. So we really scored. It's all clean, beautifully kept, wide variety of colors. We will definitely be putting this fabric to use, and we were so excited to come across that. It originally would have been $12.50 for our whole order. That was with a sweatshirt that we also picked up for Ray. But I shop there quite frequently, and they have like a punch card system, and I had a card that was all filled up, which gave us a $10 discount. So we did. We got all of it, including the sweatshirt, for $2.50. So that was a huge score. If you haven't ever tried thrift shops for cross stitch or framing materials, I highly recommend it. I've never come up with a fabric score quite that big before, but I do quite frequently find frames that I can put to use with my projects. So it's a good, cheaper alternative to finding some needed supplies. Next up in acquisitions is this fabric. It is 36 count Candy Apple by Roxy Floss Co. It is beautiful. I ordered this actually on Christmas Day for my A Study in Nature, which I am doing with the Roxy Floss Co. conversion. My husband had gifted me for Christmas the pattern and the floss, but I really, really wanted it on the red fabric. So I went ahead and I ordered that as well. So I'm excited to start that project. My next acquisition, this is called Traditional Samplers, and it's by Brenda Keys. I originally saw this book on the Seattle Stitchers page. She had been gifted this book, I think. It is no longer in print, but it is definitely available on the secondary market. And again, for very cheap. I think the book itself cost me like $3 or $4, and then I had to pay shipping, but it wasn't a lot at all. There are several patterns in here I'm interested in, as well as a lot of information about samplers and different stitches and different types of samplers. The first one that I was really attracted to is this one. It is a beautiful band sampler. I'm going to move it close so you can see all of the different motifs. I think this one would be a really fun one to do a color conversion and pick my own colors and do. So I'm really excited to start that one. There are a lot I like in here. I'm not going to show you all of them, but there are a couple others that I want to show as well. Should have marked my pages. There are some celebration samplers in here. So there's like wedding samplers and engagement samplers. If you're looking at for anything like that, there's anniversary samplers. There are teaching samplers. This one I really, really love. This actually reminds me a little bit of the Artsy Housewife, her style and her color choices. And especially the border reminded me of her. So I really like that one and would like to start it. That's called the Carnation Sampler. And then there is one in here with birds on it. It's called the Bird Sampler. So this would be another wonderful one for my bird wall. So those are just a few of my favorites. So again, that's Brenda Key's traditional samplers. Highly recommend that. Now this one, the pattern I actually had prior, I got this as soon as it came out. This is the Unicorn's Garden by Sprouting Lupine. I fell in love with this pattern. It reminds me of the cover to the Littlest Unicorn book, and I just think it's so pretty. What I was waiting on in this one to get started was the fabric. I really wanted the called for fabric, which is Liberdell. I got it in 36 count. Had originally ordered it from one shop and then it was out of stock and they weren't going to be replacing it. So I wasn't able to get it. I'm sorry, I'm not taking this out of the plastic right now, but you can get the idea. So I was able to find it on Shepherd's Needle and ordered it from them. But it's a beautiful fabric, beautiful pattern, and I can't wait to start that one.
So something about this one, I'm not really sure what it is, but something about it does remind me of the Yule Goddess, which you saw in the last video. I think it might be either the colors or like how the shading is.
Yeah, it's got a lot of color in it, which the old goddess is by the Tiny Modernist, and she also uses color really well, as does Sprouting Lupine. And the funny thing is, I will have to show you, but the Tiny Modernist also has a unicorn pattern that I have fully kitted, and they would look great next to each other on a wall. So I'll have to show you that one. Next is this one. I have to show you the picture. I do not have the pattern yet. The pattern is back ordered, but the pattern is Flights of Fancy by JBW Designs. And this will also be for my bird wall or the area of my bird wall. I have an oval frame that will fit this, a vintage oval frame, an actual antique that will fit this beautifully. So I ordered this one specifically for the frame. The pattern is back ordered, but the fabric and floss did come in. Sorry for the crinkling. It is still in the bag. But the fabric it's going to be stitched on is so gorgeous. This is 36 count Thornfield linen by Needle and Flax. It's going to look perfect. And then I got the called for specialty fibers. I had a lot of them in stock already, so I don't have the full bundle to show you. But I'm so excited to start that one. That one will actually probably go on the bars as soon as I actually get the pattern. I don't think that one will take me a long time to stitch up, and I'm very excited to see it. This next acquisition is actually for my Prairie Schooler samplers. I had showed you one of my newer Prairie Schoolers. This was the 2024 Prairie Schooler Santa in my last video. I found a shop, and this came from Country Sampler. They do special cuts of the fabric for the Prairie Schooler designs, and I do want to do them all on the same fabric. So this is 18 count khaki linen, or not linen, Aida cloth. And I ordered, there are only $3.50 for each cut. I ordered 7 of them because that's how many of the Prairie Schooler samplers I have, Prairie Schooler Santas that I have right now. I, of course, hope to acquire more, and then I'll purchase more of the fabric. But I am really excited to stitch those as well. So I have those kitted up and ready to go. Again, I hope to be able to stitch an ornament every month. It won't always be a Prairie Schooler Santa, but I definitely want to include those in the rotation. So not only can you get the fabric cut, pre-cut for the Prairie Schooler Santas, but if you go to Lindy Stitch's website, they sell pre-cut mats for Prairie Schooler Santas, and they have different sized mats cut depending on the size fabric that you use. So they've done all of the mats. They come in 2 pieces, two mats per pack. So you have your front mat and your back mat. And Stephanie Webb from Lindy Stitches has on her Flosstube, she has a tutorial video on how to make the ornaments, how to put them together. And it's an excellent video. It doesn't look hard at all, so that I can finish them as I go instead of adding to my 90 unfinished projects. So I am really excited about doing a Prairie Schooler Santa. I don't think I've told you this, Ray, but I don't want these for our silver Christmas tree. I want to get another smaller Christmas tree that has like pine cones and stuff already on it. And I want to do just Prairie Schooler Santas on this one. I think they've been doing Prairie Schooler Santa since like every year, one every year since like 1984. So there's a lot of them. So I just want to fill it up with Prairie Schooler Santas. So I have stitched none yet. So we've got a lot to go on that one. What do you think about that? Another tree?
Mm-hmm.
All right. The next one I am so excited about. This one just arrived this week, and I was so happy that it came in time for the video. But I mentioned in our first Flosstube that I am a huge fan of Hands Across the Sea sampler designs. I usually have one of those going, or at least ready to go next at all times. This one's called Katarine's Garden. This is a Hobby House exclusive. It's recent. It is still available on the website. It is available with all different options for kitting it up. It is so pretty. I was originally going to stitch Martha Walmsley next because I also have that one kitted and ready to go. But now I've got to decide because I'm really excited about this one. I did order the whole kit. So I do have the it's Salt Ash Linen by Cedar River Linen. Everyone is talking about Cedar River Linen right now, so I'm so excited to try this out. I have never stitched or had any of their linen before this piece, so I'm very excited to give this a try. I'll let you know what I think once I get started stitching. And then I ordered the 103 silks for this one as well. And wait till you see this color pattern. It is amazing. So these are the colors. There are a lot of them. Turn them the other way so that you can see them a little better. but the colors are just fabulous. This one may win out because of the fabric and the silks. Martha Walmsley at the time I couldn't afford to get the silks with the kit, so I did kit that one up with DMC, which is going to look amazing. I have stitched several hats patterns with DMC, and they look beautiful. Nicola is excellent at picking DMC threads that really match the silks very well, so you really can't tell the difference. However, I love stitching with the silks. They flow through the fabric so easily, and the colors are just so gorgeous on this one. So I'm really excited to get that one started. I did order the full kit, so it did come with a mini McBean's scissor fob, which again, it's in the plastic and I don't really want to take it out right now, but they are so fun to add to whatever scissors I'm going to use. I do have a scissor collection as well, which I'll show one of these days. But I'm excited to use that one as well. So I will post a link to Hobby House and that pattern below as well. This next one is my only real purchase in 2025. My original plan was not to order anything new until Needlework Market because I want to save Nashville Market. I wanted to save my money for Nashville Market, but I absolutely I could not resist this one. So let me pull it up. This is Butterfly Bouquet, another design by Sprouting Lupine. This is available on her Etsy site, and I will post that below. But the goth colors with the pink background for Valentine's Day just really spoke to me, and I could not resist. I lasted until January 4th with my resolution. Yay for me. So, I did have a piece of fabric in my stash that I'm thinking about using for this one. It's a 28 count, and I really would rather stitch this on a higher count, but I already have it in stash. So, do you want to talk about the floss toss? Ray did a floss toss for me with the fabric. I'll hold it up for him while he talks. But this is actually a fabric I dyed myself.
Mhm. I think that all of these colors, it doesn't really show up that well on camera, but I think all of these colors really go well with this custom fabric that she dyed. I think that everything is going to look really, really good in the end if she does end up using this fabric. And I just think it's really beautiful. I also really love the pattern itself and the design itself. I think it's very unique and all the colors are very unique for stitching, especially with butterflies.
Yeah, so this is another one I'm really excited to stitch. I don't know that I will be able to get it going for Valentine's Day, but this is not a Valentine's Day specific design, and I do really love pinks. This fabric it's a Zweigart based linen. I called it raspberries and cream, and I dyed this myself. So it'll be fun to stitch on something that I dyed myself.
Hmm.
I don't remember the formula that I used for this one, so I can't tell you what I used, but very pretty. I like it. I did want to mention that Catherine's Stitching Chronicles is doing a stitch along with Butterfly Bouquet. So I'll put a link to her site below. But if you do want to stitch this one along with us, they started on the 14th, so they just started. The idea being that I think that they were going to try to get it all stitched before Valentine's Day. I'm not stitching along with the stitch along because I have other things that I'm working on right now, but check them out if you're interested in stitching along with them. You mentioned her, right?
Becca
Becca,
Benesky.
yeah, Becca Benesky, one of the new floss tubers that Ray mentioned at the beginning, is also stitching this pattern along with the stitch along, I believe. So check her video out. I think it was in her most recent video
Yeah.
that she talked about that. So that's a good place to see some current progress on that, as it will probably be a little while before I have those on the bars.
Mm-hmm.
The last thing I want to talk about is just a couple of things that are like high on my wish list. I did not buy these yet because of my resolution, but they will be bought at some point very soon. But first, I actually have the pattern, and the pattern is from the Artsy Housewife. It is her birthday stitch along pattern that was just released on her Patreon, and I am on her Patreon, which I guess is over here. Sorry, I'm trying to find the picture. But this one, I don't think I've showed you this one yet, Ray. And we may have to fight for this one. Ray is planning on painting his bedroom soon
Mm-hmm.
to a shade of orange.
Mm-hmm.
My living room is orange. I love bright colors. It's an autumnal orange, but it's orange. This is Hyperbole by the Artsy Housewife. It is fabulous. If I had the right fabric in stock, I would have started this one the day that it came out. But alas, I do not have the right fabric. And although she's got it charted in DMC, I would like to do the Roxy Flossco conversion and also use the French Hen as the fabric by Roxy Flossco. So they're literally in my cart on Evertote's site. I just haven't hit the button yet. So I'm trying to hold off. Again, want to see what comes out at Nashville, so that I make sure that I stretch my budget and get those things that I want the most. But I think those are going to be coming to us at some point in the near future.
Mm-hmm.
While I was watching the Between Two Whips Flosstube, which is the Flosstube from Evertote and Roxy Flossco, they also did an interview with the designer from Maximum Cross Stitch. I was not familiar with this designer. She's a Canadian designer, and she's close friends with the owner of Evertote. They had two projects, which I now also desperately want. The first one is Round the City. This is a drum. You can see the finished piece down there. I have always wanted to do a drum, and I've never stitched one before. And this one is just so unique and different that I really would like to give it a try. So I don't have this one yet, but it is very high on my wish list, and I would like to get it. The next one that I really fell in love with from Maximum Cross Stitch is, and you'll see why, is called Eddie and Patsy. Birds for my bird wall. I would not do this as a pillow. They would go up on the wall. But they're going to be a must-have at some point as well. So those two patterns and everything that goes with them is also sitting in my cart, waiting for me to push the button, which I have so far refrained. So I will try to hold off. for a little longer on those. So moving forward, those were our two big parades, the Finish Parade, the WIP Parade. Our next video will be a more typical video where we show what we've been working on, maybe some of our finishes. Ray and I both are avid readers, and we would like to share maybe some of the really good books that we've read since the last video to recommend to you. We'll do that at the end. So if you're not interested in hearing us talk about books, you can turn us off before then. But we'll probably include that next video. We had some books ready for today, but we decided that this was already going to go pretty long. So
yeah,
we decided to wait. We hope to have our videos out about every 3 weeks right now, depending on how things are with work and school. It may be a month. If we have a lot to show, it may be every 2 weeks. But we're going to try for every 3 weeks and try to get on a regular schedule for us so you know when to look for us. Over the summer, we may have more frequent videos because I'm not working and I'm stitching all the time, and I'll have more to show you. Ray will actually be part of the summer in Italy. You want to tell them a little bit about your trip that's coming up?
So I did a culinary class at my school, and as part of that class, we'll be taking a school trip to Italy over the summer. A culinary trip to Italy. We'll be doing a lot of culinary stuff. We'll be taking some like tours. We'll be doing some cooking over in Italy. So I'm very excited for that. And the next video after that, I can talk about how it went.
Yeah, and maybe share with us some short clips of your trip or pictures that you've taken. Maybe you'll even find some stitching goodies to bring back. You never know, right?
Mm.
So I think that is all for today. Is there anything else you want to add, Ray?
No.
Okay. So we're going to let you go. We hope that you have a wonderful Martin Luther King Day. If you enjoyed our video, please like, comment, subscribe, share. We are so excited to already have so many subscribers. We would love to get more. We will do our best to continue to improve upon each video. I'm sure we'll get a little less nervous as we're filming. So we hope that you will stay with us and that you will recommend us to your friends. We really enjoy chatting with you, showing you our stitching and our progress. I can't wait to dig into my finishes and share with you more of those. I thought I would pick maybe a theme or something for each video and pull out different finishes that I have that fit that theme. Since I'm going to be doing put a bird on it, I thought maybe I'd share some of my Quaker sampler finishes next time around, but we'll see. So thank you again. We will put all of our information below. Any of the Flosstubers designers items that we talked about in the video, we will have linked below in the details. So please check that out and please check them out. And goodbye and thank you.